Part 64. The Mad Cultivator. Author, Xianxia. Chapter 633. Battle of 633 Caves. The devil waved his hand to close the heavy door and smiled at the table. I heard that humans like to drink a glass of acacia before entering the cave house. Lu Junro said coldly, no need. Having said that, she slowly walked towards the extra-wide oversized bed, sat down, lay down, and looked at the roof with a pair of eyebrows, without any emotion. Although Lu Junro's attitude has long been used to it, the devil's heart is still very unhappy. What proud? It's time now, what's so proud of? If I didn't really like you, how could you wait until today to surrender yourself? Huh, the Demon King shook his black meat wings and flew up, flying over the bed, watching the woman in white. Beauty is really beautiful. Devil woman, human woman, which one is better than her? Not only beautiful, but noble and pure. This is the master of the Shadow clan, the beauties among the beauties, but also have the ancient heritage and excellent bloodlines. Junro, I know you don't want to, you still hate me, but I swear, I really didn't want to kill your family. It was they who fought hard, and my people started to lose weight. It was just an accident. This guy gives. It's been so long, it's useless to say more, come on, Lu Junro said absolutely. The devil's face turned dark. He waited so long that he just wanted to wait for Lu Jun to be willing and willing, but who knows how to get it now is still the same as forcing her. Is it giving up? No. Seeing such a beautiful woman lying on her couch, waiting for herself, the devil felt that he had a fever all over his body and could not control it. Okay, then I will come. Believe that after I conquer your body, it will be easier to conquer your heart. Moreover, you can give birth to a super powerful demons. The Demon King slowly flapping his wings finally moved. Devil and human are different. They are not interested in kissing or hand rubbing, they are more direct. From under the lotus-like skirt of the Devil King, 3 snake-like things slowly came out, so fierce, his head was raised, and he flexed like a snake, reaching out to the beautiful Lu Junro. 2 of them went into Lu Junro's hakama, followed her smooth legs and moved up, and then heard a bang. The thing tore Lu Junro's hakama tortured, and 2 white thrilling legs appeared inside. In the air. The devil looked so emotional, so beautiful, beautiful legs, I will soon get her. I want to feel the beauty of her body in turn using my 3. Lu Junro felt that those snake-like things were upstream of her legs, and her whole body was tightened. Her cold sweat came out from her back, and nausea surged. She couldn't help but think of how beautiful Yekong was on her 3 days ago. She didn't feel it at all. She was stripped away by the confusion. She even felt that he was not disgusted against the part of her leg, only shy. But now, it's completely humiliating. A devil who killed his family, the tribe was using that horrible thing to lash himself and tore his clothes. In fact, Lu Junro's original plan was to forget it. In order for all shadow people to live freely, let him get it. Of course, she didn't want to have any freak with this Demon King. That's why she took the initiative to seduce Yekong. At that time, it was also very good to give birth to humans. The Demon King found that she had to give birth to humans, and she would definitely be depressed. But unexpectedly Yekong finally gave up. This forced Lu Junro into a dead end. In fact, when she brought the fairy sword from Yekong, she did not make up her mind. But because of Yekong's rejection, she only made up her mind, can't let the devil succeed, and he can't have offspring with him. Where did Yekong know that his own refusal not only saved himself but also Lu Junro? Otherwise, if Yekong leaves seeds in her body, maybe Lu Junro is lying down and letting the Demon King play with it. But now Lu Junro is extremely firm, especially when she thinks of Yekong, she doesn't even care about the fate of the people. So, Lu Junro suddenly launched. Oh, the third-grade fairy sword hidden in Lu Junro's body suddenly appeared, and was instantly radiant and dazzling. Lu Junro's body flew out in parallel, the golden sword in his hand was released, and a golden sword splendidly came out. The meteor was getting faster and faster, and the vigorous force pulsated the air like waves. Here, Lu Junro scolded and pointed at the three ugly things. Sanpanek's iron sword is more powerful in Lu Junro's hands than in Yekinna. The main devil is not at all prepared. He doesn't know that Lu Junro has weapons, and he can't think she will shoot. Slap! 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 3 beeps followed, and the poor devil's cave was not completed, but he became an eunuch. The 3 snake-like things twitched like crazy on the ground, and finally couldn't escape the end that dissipated into a ball of black water. You slut, the devil died, his eyes were completely blank, and he was in a state of insanity. His wings trembled violently and rushed forward Sanpan fairy sword successfully. She also stood in the air, her dress was a bit broken, but the eyes shot by May's eyes were sacred and inviolable. The devil. Come here. Come to God. Suddenly, the devil rushed into the beauty pile. Fairies flew around, fairy sounds fluttered, Lu Junro lost track and all the sense of direction disappeared. But the strength of the devil is not trivial, not to mention he has entered a state of madness. Hush, an enchantment? Huh. Let me spread, the demon king waved his hand. This enchanted enchantment did not really open up space, but was simulated by powerful gods and spiritual powers. The devil cut off her control of the spiritual power, and the enchanted enchantment was suddenly distorted, as if the brown and red arms of the demon were spinning, the arm of the devil was like a cudgel, and the enchanted enchantment was stirred into a ball, and then crackled disappeared. Lu Junro's figure appeared, and at the same time, there was the sword light that was as bright as the first sun. 3-pin fairy sword, the eyes of the dead control method opened, the fairy sword could not survive, the devil's forehead opened the eyes, and a white light shot toward the fairy sword. Although the devil's eye for controlling death uses spiritual power, but it contains the power of heaven, such as the power of controlling death, how can a lower fairy sword deal with it? The power of heaven is the skill cultivated by the people of the immortal realm, which Yamamoto Kenran used. The general power of heaven is only the most basic level, and it can be subdivided into the power of 8,000 heavens, and the power of controlling death is the more overbearing one in the 8,000 heavens. Immediately after being accused of death, Xianxia slammed into the ground immediately, as if dead. Regardless of how Lu Junro controlled, it did not respond at all. Fighting at this level is either earth-shattering or an instant split. While Junro was out of control of the fairy sword, the Demon King's arm suddenly extended and caught Lu Junro's slender white neck. The Mad Cultivator. Author, Xianxia. Chapter 634. Love Hate. Slut, you dare to hurt me. 15,000 years ago, after I was injured by the ambush of the great prince, I swear, whoever dares to hurt me, I will kill them. This time, I was very hurt, and he became an eunuch. Then you killed me. Lu Junro was so quiet, she knew such an end, she would die if she failed, and there was nothing to say. Don't think I dare not kill you. The Demon King was really angered this time, seeing his pair of magic eyes that he wanted to open. Then let's do it. Lu Junro was already ready, closing those intoxicating purple eyes. How terrible is death? Death is nothing but liberation. Lu Junro closed his eyes and waited to die, but after waiting for a while, he felt that he was put on the ground. It's getting late, you can go back and rest. This time it's my fault. I shouldn't force you. The devil's voice came. Lu Junro opened her eyes in amazement, but she never thought that the devil had suffered such a serious injury, but he could bear it. The devil had landed, tightened the meat wings, walked silently to the table, picked up a glass of wine, and drank alone. There was an indescribable indifference in the back. I can wait for you for 150,000 years, I can wait for you for another 150,000 years. The demon put down his glass, raised his hand, and the fairy sword on the ground wiped the ground with a bang and fell at the foot of Lu Junro. Changed to a more powerful weapon. Lu Junro knew that the Demon King was unusual to her, but did not expect to reach such a point. He hurt him seriously, but he didn't say a word of blame, instead he said sorry to her. Lu Junro looked at the back of the Demon King, and suddenly felt that in the past 150,000 years, it was not just himself who had endured loneliness and loneliness. Why is this to me? Lu Junro asked softly. Don't you know? Because I like you, I am in love with you. When I woke up from a coma and saw the girl with a smile, just a glance made me fall in love with this girl. So far, they have been unable to extricate themselves. Lu Junro looked at the back of the Demon King, and there was an inexplicable complex expression flashing in his eyes. He picked up the fairy sword and walked out of the palace. She had just left, and Leng Qi guarding outside hurried in. King, what's the matter? I see girl Lu. The devil raised his hand. Don't talk nonsense. Of course, Leng Qi could see that the devil was unhappy, and he didn't dare to ask more, and stood aside. I was just slightly injured. Before the devil had finished speaking, Leng Qi was surprised. Master, are you injured? Where were you injured? Would you like treatment? The devil's face was awkward, and he scolded, Did I report anything to you? It's ridiculous. I want you to be king. The devil was angry, and this kind of remarks came out. Scared Leng Qi quickly flinched aside, but in his heart was thinking, where was he hurt? Didn't see it, was it sad? I'm going to retreat and recuperate. It may take decades. Don't bother me if I'm fine, the devil said a short story, and then he would leave. But Leng Qi thought of another thing. King, that kid is heading north all the way, and is already close to the Abyss Valley. I received a secret report. Some time ago, the Abyss Valley was intruded by a human monk and stole a condensed chalcedony. Those guys are afraid of punishment, and even concealed. Duck. These guys are getting bolder. Do you think I dare not kill them? I thought it was 100,000 years ago. I now have a way to have offspring, and it doesn't matter to kill a few. Hearing this, he immediately commanded, let the guards guard the couple of Abyss Valley and their slaves, all of them. Then he thought of the human again, and he snorted. Lu Junro's fairy sword must be provided by this human. He can let Lu Junro pass, but he cannot let go of this human. Kill that human too. Secretly, don't let Junro get the news. After the devil said, he strode towards the retreat. Abyss Valley. This is the former site of Qingming Valley in Kangbei. The valley is rich in spiritual grass and rich in aura. It is an excellent cultivation site. Although the demons do not need to cultivate, they also like places with sufficient aura so that their strength can increase faster. The demons occupied this side, and built this place as their gathering place, but the good times are not long. The aura in Qingming Valley is completely released by those spirits, grasses, and trees, but the devil will not wait for those things. For a few years, the spirit grass and trees are dead and the aura here is thin. Then Qingming slowly became deserted, but thousands of years ago, someone suddenly found the Abyss Stone here, so the devil sent someone to mine the Abyss Stone here, and the ground was changed into the Abyss Valley. In fact, the Abyss Stone is a kind of spirit stone, but it contains very rare dark attributes. The demon naturally absorbs and supplements the spiritual power. There is no need for the spirit stone. Even this Abyss Stone is no exception. It is not useful for ordinary demons. But this Abyss Stone has a very strong effect on those newly born demons. Devil's life is long, it is almost immortal. If no one kills him, he can live forever. There is no such thing as sitting. Generally, a demon can mature in 10 years, much faster than humans. The 10-year-old demon begins to automatically draw aura, and gradually strengthens his strength. The body's skin and bones become stronger, the strength becomes larger, and he slowly grows to a third. Only the eye. The ability of the devil is mainly dependent on himself. There is no requirement for magical treasures. They are strong. The body is their weapon. There is another important weapon, the forehead of the forehead. However, this method is not so easy to open. The demon is also ugly and qualified, and he can accept ancient traditions and open his eyes. Slowly to Chitos, it also means that I can drive. The most important thing is that the sooner you open the Dharma eye, the better the Dharma eye and the more overbearing power you have. In the past, the demons did not have a way to produce offspring. It does not matter, but now there are ways. Numerous new demons are born. They are eager to strengthen their strength and open the eyes of the law early. So a demon started researching and finally found an abyss stone. As long as the spirit stone is used continuously, the time to open the eye can be greatly accelerated. There is an upsurge in searching for abyss stones among the devil, but this kind of spirit stone is very rare, and most of the spirit stone mines cannot produce this kind of attribute stone. But the proportion of production in the Abyss Valley is quite high. In general, there is an Abyss stone among the 10 ordinary spirit stones, so the demon mined here. The condensed chalcedony needed by Yekong, which is the accompanying mine of Abyss stones, is usually produced in a lot of Abyss stones. The Abyss stone was sparsely available originally, and it was even more difficult to condense the chalcedony. Therefore, the entire Kangnan and Kangbei is currently known as the Abyss Valley. To the reader, recommend this friend's book, The Updated Daio, such as West Kunlun's Merry Mania. Can go and see. You are listening to Novels at Bless Up channel. Wish you happiness and luck. How do you feel about this novel? Please like and leave a comment. The Mad Cultivator. Author, Xianxia. Chapter 635. 6335 Slaves. Li Yuan stood in a steeple building on a cliff on one side of the valley and looked at the busy scene in the valley through large windows. He has been in Kangbei for thousands of years. At that time, he had already entered the middle stage of the transformation of the gods. One day, he suddenly felt the sorring, he was overjoyed, and hurriedly arranged the funeral. After preparations, he ushered in a few weak and unpredictable thunders. He easily passed thunder and thunder, leaving all the magical treasures to his disciples, soaring in the admiration of everyone. It can be seen from the ghost that Fei Sheng made a mistake, and he came to the Kangbei continent. Waiting for him were the fiendish demons. The demons are very tyrannical, and the white light emitted by the magic eye is intertwined, and even his deified cannot bear it. He was branded with a pet and became a slave to the devil. At first his master was a lord of the witch, and after suffering humiliation there, he endured, and he vowed to be a slave even if he was a slave. So he treated the same kind coldly, either by beating or scolding him. Any task entrusted to him could be done in excess. He himself also endured hard work. Finally, he got the appreciation of an adult, changed his brand, and was later brought here to manage the miners. He finally became a slave, and the lives and deaths of tens of thousands of miners below were in his hands, and even the demon guards had to give him face. Well, think of me as a magnificent monarch, sovereign lord of swords and devil, even turned into a miner. He was sighing, he listened to the word, and said that he called him. In a luxurious room behind, a fat man like a pig is carrying a braised human thigh. This is his master. Li Yuan, I was previously notified by the Magic Palace, asking you to choose 500 strong humans to give to the Magic Palace. Did you choose them? The devil did not raise his head. It's still being selected. It's really that the mine here is also nervous, and those who are physically strong are the main force of our mine. You fart, the obese devil looked up angrily. Nearly 100,000 miners, can't choose 500? If not, His Majesty the King used the method of death control to kill slaves of thousands of miles, otherwise shall we please? Yes, Li Yuan did not dare to refute, nodded, and just wanted to step back, but listened to the fat demon again. Li Yuan, I find you are good to those humans. Li Yuan was startled and said quickly, Master, this is impossible. Those miners in the mine who do not say that I am fierce and blameful, scold, and make them hungry with a little dissatisfaction. That's true, too. The fat devil raised his head, smiling, looking at Li Yuan, and said, but I heard that you never killed humans with your own hands, but instead used punishment to kill those who had no value. Weak humans eat white food alive. Li Yuan trembled in his heart, and quickly knelt down and said, Master, slaves kill fewer people. That's because the number of workers in the mine itself is embarrassed. If they are killed indiscriminately, we will be afraid of completing the task. Do not believe, and then said, if there are enough people now, I will not frown if I kill hundreds or thousands. That's fine, I thought you sympathized with humans. The fat devil nodded. Li Yuan took a sigh of relief, and finally escaped. He seemed unable to do so in the future, so he occasionally killed a few. Well, don't blame me. Who knows that just as he relaxes, he hears the demon again. Li Yuan, you are my faithful slave. I can assure you, come, give him this reward. Immediately there was the guardian of the devil, holding up a plate, and brought it to Li Yuan. A cooked man's ear was lying quietly in the plate. People's ears are rotten and crunchy. I like to eat them most, Li Yuan, I'm saving it for you. Don't let me down. The fat devil looked coldly at Li Yuan. There seemed to be something exploding in Li Yuan's chest, and blood rushed from his chest to his brain. This is human flesh. How can you eat human flesh? Even a dog doesn't eat dog meat. How? Li Yuan, are you unwilling? Or do you sympathize with the weak human beings and want to be against our mighty holy devil Luo? The fat devil's tone became severe, and several demon guards stared at Li Source. Where? Li Yuan suddenly smiled, looked up and smiled, Master, the slaves are loyal and unfaithful, don't you know yet? But to be honest, the slaves really haven't eaten human flesh, so it is inevitable. Minions then taste it. Li Yuan raised his ear, chewed it in the mouth, and said, well, it's delicious. The human flesh is so delicious. The holy tribe really has a mouthful and will eat it? Ha ha, the devil laughed. The fat devil looked at Li Yuan with satisfaction and laughed, okay, good. If you do eat, ha ha, I will send you back to your old master, and let you lick the three in her crotch every day. A sow cave. Li Yuan laughed, Master, don't you that lord is really smelling bad? Ha ha, the crowd laughed again. Li Yuan made an excuse, so he hurried out of the room and came to his house. Quickly put down a restraint and use the spiritual force to drive the rotten meat out of the stomach. He spit out the rotten meat and held it in his palms. Tears had already rolled down. He raised the meat over his head and knelt down 3 times before burning it with flames. Slaves are always slaves. As Li Yuan vomited, the fat demon in the room said to a demon guard, not my race, you must be careful. If I remember correctly, your law eye has the function of recording scenes. Yes, the demon hurried up and said, not only can I record, but I can play back. Okay, at dinner, Li Yuan cannibalism and the words he said will be played back in public in the mining area. Hey, human beings hate him more, so he can work for us more safely. At this moment, Yekong has been out of the Devil City for 5 days and 4 nights, and now he has entered the 5th night. The sky was just dark, and the 4 wilds were silent, except that there was a lot of light and noise in the Abyss Valley. From the 4th day, Yekong tried not to use the demon order, he tried to hide his body, but he was found twice by the lords on the road, but when he showed the demon order, this thing was very good. On the 5th night, a young boy in Xianxia stood on top of a mountain and looked at the brightly lit valley in front of him. Then he posted a hidden charm and flew over. Since Lu Junro said that this thing will fail, try not to use it. but it doesn't work. This valley is very defensive, and it has a large number of magical shots. At the same time, there are a few senses of true monarchs. If the defense here had been lax before, but now they have been stolen once by Yu Minghui, they have certainly strengthened their vigilance. Who? The Mad Cultivator. Author, Xianxia. Chapter 636. What is good and evil? Yekong hadn't had time to react yet, and there was a flash of light and shadow from time to time around his body, and 5 Yuanying Zhenjun had instantly moved in front of him. It even shot a ray of light from a distance, hitting Yekong, leaving him with nowhere to look. Human monks, a few Yuan babies were all stunned. Generally, the troublesome monsters who had just opened their minds smashed their heads into silly heads. How have there been human beings lately? Basic period. Where did you come from? I don't know how to write the dead words, a Yuanying said angrily. Yekong laughed. There was no way. Continue to use the devil's order. Your Majesty the Lord ordered me to come out and do things without mistakes, otherwise you can cut off first. Yekong held the Demon King over his head. The slave monks were frightened, and hurriedly greeted Yekong into the valley. Soon Li Yuan came. Upon inspection, it was really the Demon King. Li Yuan didn't dare to neglect, and quickly led Yekong to the back. When he saw the token of the demon, the fat demon was also very surprised. He couldn't imagine how a small human monk would have the token of the devil. Although the fat devil had some doubts in his heart, he did not dare to disobey. After all, the token was real. This is the highest token of the Holy Witch Luo tribe. Seeing the token, such as the Demon King in person. Whoever he is, don't provoke the devil. So the fat man quickly asked the ambassador what he needed. Yekong said that he was condensed with chalcedony. The fat man was busy asking Li Yuan to take Yekong to the warehouse below to choose. Yekong Li was naturally very happy. I didn't expect things to be so easy. This time I really thank Lu Junro. This way, even if a fight did not happen, it was so easy. I immediately took the condensed chalcedony and hurried straight to the south. Returned to Kangnan to repair the soul of Huang Zixuan. But is it really that simple? Yekong followed Li Yuan out of the steeple building, and saw tens of thousands of human miners squatting on the ground to eat on the huge valley square. Although the meals are not good, the quantity is still sufficient. The steamed buns and vegetable soup are basically full and can be taken again as long as they are not taken away. Master Li Yuan, come all the way, even if human slaves here are treated the best, I thank you for all humans here, Yekong said sincerely. Throughout his journey, he did see a lot of human slaves, and those people lived very painfully. It can be said that they are struggling on the brink of death, let alone being full, and it is not bad to have a half full. Although the miners here are tired, Yekong can see that many of them can have some smiles on their faces, long-lost smiles. Li Yuan smiled and shook his head. Without freedom, it's useless to be full again. Yekong nodded and said nothing. Li Yuan was right. However, he was also pleased with these miners, and encountered a good slave head. At the same time, Yekong also had a good opinion of Li Yuan. The warehouse was deep in an independent mine in the valley. The two came to the tightly guarded mine. It seemed that Li Yuan was still very authoritative. He and the demon guard said that the demon guard immediately let go. Road, open the mine. But at this moment, the noise of tens of thousands of human miners sitting in the square behind was heard. When Yekong looked back, he saw a scattered light suddenly appearing in the black sky, and the light spread out. Instantly, a huge screen image was projected into the sky. Yekong was confused. Are these miners' living conditions too good? Not only is it full, but also a movie at night? However, at the beginning of the movie, his heart was full of anger. The previous play was Li Yuan's previous behavior. When Li Yuan threw human ears into the mouth and chewed them deliciously, All the humans present were all angry. Ye Kong has seen the shameless, the despicable, but he has never seen the shameless and despicable to such a degree, and at this moment he really wished that he could cut Li Yuan into 8 pieces to relieve his hatred. When the movie is finished, there is silence in the square, deadly silence. Every human miner cast his hatred on Li Yuan, who was standing in a corner, and some young miners hurled their hoes to the ground and stomped with their feet to show the anger in their hearts. Li Yuan's face was pale, but he still ordered, "Attention all supervisors, write down those who spoil the food, and stop eating tomorrow for a day." He waved his sleeve and walked into the long, narrow mine. The mine is deep and far, with many moonstones inlaid on both sides. The inside is very quiet. Li Yuan is striding in front, Ye Kong is following. Ye Kong's angry and disdainful eyes looked at this seemingly elegant middle-aged man, a deified monk. Stop the miner's meal, in exchange for eating an extra piece of human flesh in front of the owner. Ye Kong finally couldn't help getting angry and asked. Li Yuan's footsteps were condensed, and then he continued to walk. He said, "Dao, you are not here, you don't understand. The situation here is complicated. I don't understand, but I understand the basic rules of being a person. Human standards." Li Yuan snorted and sneered, "the rule here is to live. There is hope for life. Nothing is dead. Some people are alive and dead. Or is no longer human." Ye Kong couldn't accept Li Yuan's reason. There is hope for life? What about the people you eat? You are a manifestation of a timid thief. If I were to die, I would never eat human flesh. Rather than bend. Li Yuan didn't want to talk more with this person, but his heart was unpleasant, and now he was ridiculed by Ye Kong again and again. He was a little annoyed, stopped, and drank. "Little monk Zuji, what do you know? Because I am here, they every day, we can eat, we can live, we can reproduce, and we can die less." The theory of traitor. Ye Kong snorted and said coldly, "I only heard that someone was doing bad things under the banner of justice, but I did not hear anyone doing good things under the banner of evil." "Oh, that's right, justice, evil." Li Yuan laughed ridiculously, instead of continuing to say, but turned his head and went deeper into the passage. As soon as Ye Kong entered the mine, they saw the sky in the valley, and a sudden wind blew. They saw 7 or 8 demons with twin wings flying over the valley, and a voice sounded like the sound of Hongzhong. The guard arrived. "Where is the saint in the Abyss Valley?" Generally, a demon has no wings. Only those who are tens of thousands of years old can give birth to double wings, and only when the demon king and elders have the eyes of ancient traditions can they grow horns. Seeing this pair of demon with twin wings, the demon guards hurried up to meet, and the fat demon hurried out to salute. The demon guard has 2 missions here. One is to bring the fat demon back to ask for guilt, and the other is to execute Ye Kong. However, in order to get the cooperation of the fat demon, they grabbed Ye Kong first, so they did not mention the first task, but asked, "Where can the human monk who uses the token of the demon king?" The Mad Cultivator. Author, Xianxia. Chapter 637. Followed closely. As soon as the fat man heard the question, he immediately knew that the demon guards had come to catch the kid. It just seemed strange just now. Why would the king send a human monk to do his work? The fat devil laughed busily. "Xianxia, there was indeed a human monk who came here with the king's token. Now this person is still below, dare to ask Xianxia to come and catch him." The captain of the devil guard nodded, "Exactly." The fat demon also flattered, "A little human monk, he lao, everyone shot. I see you go to my rest for a while, and I will catch him." The captain of the demon guards is a good idea. When you catch the kid and just take you down, it will save us a lot of trouble. Then you go, we'll wait for you here, hurry up. Observe. The fat demon led his demon guards to the mine entrance. Ye Kong didn't know the danger had come at this moment. He and Li Yuan had already arrived in the warehouse. In one corner of the warehouse, there are countless spirit stones stacked, while in the other corner of the warehouse, there is a wooden box, which contains hundreds of condensed chalcedony. Li Yuan said, the demon can't use the spiritual power in the spirit stone, so the spirit stone and condensed chalcedony that are mined are garbage to them. They are piled here. In the wooden box, you need the condensed chalcedony. Quality there are good and bad, you choose it yourself. Yekong looked at so many spirit stones, and he was a little puzzled. The mining volume of this mine is not small. If it is really used as garbage, it should be far more than the current ones. Asked, since the devil can't use it, presumably Lord Li Yuan can use it. Yekong means you take it, no wonder you are so faithful, it turns out to be good. Li Yuan laughed and laughed, will the spirit stone still be useful to me? It's good to be a pet of the demons without concealing friends, and the longevity of human beings will increase sharply, but the problem is that his cultivation was limited, and he could improve to a certain point, and IVE reached the limit that the Mozu can tolerate. Otherwise, I would have risen again. Yekong nodded, no master would allow the slave to be more powerful than himself. Li Yuan also said, Spirit Stone has two functions, one is to absorb spiritual power, and the other is to trade. In this ghost place, I haven't worked with people for 10,000 years. What is the use of Spirit Stone for me? Here there is no trading place. The demons practice the rationing system. Who do I trade with? So for me, a Spirit Stone is better than a gimmick. With a gimmick, I can feed one more human. You're less fake. Li Yuan smiled and continued, although the demons do use spirit stones, they can take them out and trade with humans in exchange for the items they need, so the spirit stones here are not as many as you think. Periodically, the devil comes to take away the spirit stone. Trading with the devil? These human businessmen are really so jealous, Yekong cursed and began to look at the condensed chalcedony. But those condensed chalcedony are not so good at distinguishing good from bad. There are big and small, some are black, some are purple, some are hexagonal, and others are irregular. Yekong Shun picked the biggest one. Li Yuan laughed, Tao Yu, the piece you took is not in good condition. It concentrates on the chalcedony and is used to nourish the soul. Generally, it is used by people with insufficiency after death, or used by ghosts, so it's big to use. Choose those with deep and bright colors, clear and free of impurities, and look for a more regular hexahedron in shape. This chalcedony is better and faster to use. Although he despised Li Yuan, but they were so helpful, Yekong couldn't resist it. He picked another piece, froze, and said to Li Yuan, thank you. But at this moment, Li Yuan frowned, doubting, no. The master rushed in with the guard, little friend, maybe there is something wrong with your token. A little human monk holding the token of the Demon King, anyone would doubt that Li Yuan thought of the reason as soon as possible. Little friend, you run away, I'll help you sloppy Li Yuan urged before Yekong could answer. Yekong did not suspect that Li Yuan would harm him. If so, why take Li Yuan's cultivation as his life easily, why lie to him? But at this moment, there was no escape. Yekong immediately thought of the pipa beads, raised his hand to take out the pipa beads, and instantly drilled into the beads. At the same time, the pipa beads also became a dust. Yekong still has a defensive heart. When he took out the pipa beads, he was holding them in his palms. When he entered the beads became dust. Everything is going on at the same time. The average person can't see the doorway at all and thought he disappeared instantly. But Yekong underestimated the ability to transform the gods. Li Yuan, even without enlightening the enchantment of the gods, could clearly see the trick of this little monk. His eyes flashed when he saw the beads. Is it Pipazu? Li Yuan. That little monk, Yekong just disappeared, and the fat demon rushed in with the mine guard. What's wrong? Li Yuan pretended not to know. The fat man angered, that little human monk is the king token stolen. Ah, Li Yuan said, I just saw him not authentic. I didn't expect it to be so. The fat man urged, don't talk nonsense, where did he go? Li Yuan replied, he just said that the quality of the condensed chalcedony here is not enough. He went to the pit there and dug it out. You are here to prevent him from escaping, let's go. The fat devil ran into the depths of the mine with several guards. The warehouse was rebuilt from an abandoned dead pit and the direction of the dead pit was not filled. Your side, your side. The fat demon commanded the guards to disperse into the various mines, and he also drilled into a mine. But just after entering, he stopped suddenly. The panic that Li Yuan said in a hurry was too unreasonable. This pit has long been abandoned. How can there be something to dig? Is the condensed chalcedony so easy to dig? Even if you want to dig, you have to go to other rich mines? The fat devil also believed in Li Yuan so much that he didn't think much at that time, but when he came here, he suddenly thought of the key to the problem. Li Yuan, if you dare to lie to me, I will let you die, the fat devil roared and ran back again. Li Yuan knew how long he couldn't lie to the devil, and quickly called Yekong to urge him to leave. Yekong saw all this clearly in the pipa beads, thanked him in a hurry, walked out of the warehouse, and walked along the lane. But who knows that the fat demon is very shrewd, and in a blink of an eye, he guessed that he was fooled. He rushed back, just to see Yekong's back flying in front. Small and sly human, the fat devil screamed angrily. Bound eyes, open. You are listening to novels at Bless Up channel. Wish you happiness and luck. How do you feel about this novel? Please like and leave a comment. The Mad Cultivator. Author, Xianxia. Chapter 638. 638 Spirit Stone Grinding Sword. The fat devil asks to grab Yekong actively. One reason is that he has this special eye for restraint. When this eye is opened, it can trap human monks during the refining and even fitting period. The fat demon's forehead was full of anger, and a straight white light beam shot out, hitting Yekong's back in a short while. The white light touched Yekong's body, and immediately turned into several white ropes. He tied Yekong firmly. Yekong, who escaped by flying, was caught by surprise and fell to the ground. Haha, want to escape? You dream, the fat devil sneered and came over with a sneer. Yekong was desperately struggling, but the white light rope became more and more struggling, and Yekong didn't want to summon pipa beads, as if his spiritual strength was empty. This time is miserable, Yekong Gli thought. But at this moment, the Li Yuan suddenly appeared behind the fat demon. In his hand, there was a transparent flashing short sword. This sword seemed to be made of crystal clear, and full of spiritual power but not exaggerated. At first glance, it was actually a large piece of spirit stone. The human monks in Kangbei were very poor, because before they came here, they basically left all the magic weapons and tools to their disciples. After they came here, they found that there was no freedom at all, although there were some masters of the equipment and materials. Where did it come from? Li Yuan has one unique condition, which is the mine. Although it is a spiritual stone mine, there are many other mines in it. He wanted to make a better magic weapon or magic weapon. But he changed his mind after thinking about it. Is the magic weapon a threat to the demon? Refining is useless. But one day, he was whimsical. Although the devil can naturally control the aura, they cannot absorb the spiritual power in the spirit stone. If he polishes a magic weapon with the spirit stone, can he harm the devil? Li Yuan has been polished for a long time, but it has never been used. He does not know whether the spirit stone sword is useful, but things are urgent, and he has only tried hard. The fat devil couldn't imagine that Li Yuan was crazy and attacked himself. Million Swords magic trick, Li Yuan's spirit stone sword flew out in his hands, and the bright sword body reflected the bright brilliance. One sword flew out, and within a breath, the same sword flew out, followed by another. In fact, Li Yuan only had one spirit stone sword in his hand, but he could shoot continuously, as if there were thousands of them, he could never finish. This is the most powerful spell of Wanjian Mozong, Wanjian Moju. The spirit stone swords in Li Yuan's hands kept shooting, one after the other, connected end to end, as if a bright reflective jade belt. Oh, the blood bloomed, like a singular red flower. Flutter, the fat man's huge head rolled down. With a single blow, Li Yuan rejoiced and laughed, "Dead fat man, you have today. Let's die." Li Yuan knew the habits of the demon man early and killed the fat demon once. He still didn't stop in his hands. The fat demon's second head just grew and was cut again. For the third time, the fat devil's head dared not grow. However, he can't grow old, and after a long time, he will never have a head. Coincidentally, Li Yuan had already finished using the 10-sword magic tricks, and the fat devil, whether it was a trap or not, quickly drilled his head out. Li Yuan appeared in front of the fat demon with a teleportation, and the glittering streamer flashed, and the spirit stone sword was rooted into the eyes of the fat devil's forehead. This is not over, Li Yuan slammed into the face of the fat devil, and kept cursing in his mouth, "Cannibalism. I want you to force me to cannibalism. Your mother's ears again." Li Yuan stabbed the face of the fat man into honeycomb like a madman, and he kept tying it. He wanted to return the humiliation he had suffered for 10,000 years. And the two dead heads on the ground, with their eyes widened, seemed to be asking, "Li Yuan, don't you know that when the master dies, do you want to lose your soul?" Sure enough, when the fat man broke his last breath, Li Yuan's body began to fester, and his soul was gradually dissipating. As soon as the fat man died, the bound light on Yekong disappeared immediately, and he rushed over, "Senior, senior." He suddenly thought of something and called out, "Pipazu, senior, don't resist." When Li Yuan was put into the pipa beads, Yekong flew in himself, comforting him, "Senior, don't worry, here is not a space with me, you will not lose your soul, and your brand will not take effect." Li Yuan smiled bitterly, "Yes, the mark of the pet will not take effect, but because of him, I can live so long. As soon as he dies, my life limit is reached, even in your space, I cannot resist time." Law. Li Yuan said that he could see wrinkles appear on his middle-aged Ruya face, his hair began to pale, his muscles began to wither, spots appeared on his body, and he grew older, as if he had passed his life in a blink of an eye. Li Yuan grasped Yekong's hand and said, "Little friend, I'm not a timid child, I'm not afraid of death, I just want to have a little value." "Sorry, senior, I blame you wrong. Everything you do is great," Yekong said, and he couldn't help the urge to cry. One person is misunderstood by everyone, but he still does it silently. He saved countless miners without any return, even if it was a thank you, he never had to, even if he was misunderstood, cast aside, hatred, he has no regrets. Li Yuan stretched out his old hand with a jade pendant in his hand. He handed it to Yekong and said, "I can save the life of the owner of the Shadow Clan. I am dead without regret. I am worth it." Looking at Yekong's doubtful eyes, he held out a smile and said, "I have a wife and daughter who are Shadow Clan women. I can guess it is the Shadow Clan of the clan of the clan. It is said that there is a citadel of the clan of the clan has a master, and a shadow. The clan master reappears, is the time to save all the Shadow Clan people, I believe your future will be soaring into the sky. This jade pendant is my token of Wanjian demon. If you go to Yunyeo in the future, remember to help me go to Wanwan, a word from Sword Demon Sect. Senior, please." Yekong took the piece of jade. "Before the Mahayana period, don't take off." After Li Yuan spoke, he sat down. A middle-aged and elegant man, in the blink of an eye, became a skinny body. "Senior, don't worry, I'll do this for you." Yekong put down Li Yuan's body, so he brought up the spirit stone sword in his hand. He could see clearly just now that the sword made by the spirit stone turned out to be very useful to the demon. This is the experience of Li Yuanshen in return for his life. But when Ye Kong picked up the sword, he found that the sword was no longer usable. Each time the spirit stone sword is used, it will consume its spiritual power. Li Yuan stabbed hundreds of fat monsters just now. The spiritual power in the sword has been exhausted. At this moment, the spirit stone sword is not as bright and transparent as the previous glory, but it has become opaque, just like white stones. The sword body is covered with cracks, and it is completely useless. To the reader. Today's 4 chapters are over, and 8 chapters will erupt tomorrow. Fantastic new maps will be opened soon, the protagonist's strength will also greatly increase, and there are all kinds of strange magic gates. Please support. The Mad Cultivator. Author, Xianxia. Chapter 639. 639 Trapped Pipa Beads. When he was talking to Li Yuan, the demon guards inside had heard the movement coming. They didn't know what happened, but only saw the body of the fat demon. At this moment someone immediately went out to sue the demon guards who were flying in the sky. Soon 8 demon with dorsal wings also flew. Ye Kong looked out of the pipa beads. Not good. There were demons outside. How could he go out? If you can't go out, then don't go out. The dust particles formed by the pipa beads quietly fly out, trying to escape here secretly. But who knows, the demon was not found, but was discovered by a human slave in the infancy. Master, he is hiding in that dust, the Yuanying Zhenjun shouted immediately. Your ancestor, what a faithful dog, Ye Kong cursed, quickly urging Pipa Zu to escape in the opposite direction. Chasing, several winged monsters chased out first. Several human monks also kept up, trying to catch Ye Kong's reward. It also seems that this treasure can be turned into dust. The devil does not use magic weapons. If he holds this person, this treasure is his own. He may save his life in the future. Ye Kong flew into the aisle and came to the warehouse where Li Yuan had brought him before. Seeing the pile of spirit stones, Ye Kong's heart moved. When the pipa beads flew over the spirit stones, Ye Kong read a movement, and the spirit stones were immediately collected into the pipa beads. Of course, he didn't miss the box of condensed chalcedony. Suddenly, there seemed to be a spirit stone rain in the pearl. Numerous spirit stones fell out of thin air, and Chiu Kuavang couldn't close his mouth happily. Ye Kong originally put him in the Pipazu space, and wanted him to leave Ziliang. But I didn't expect this boy to lie in the essence of Ziliang, and he didn't want to come out, because he was in the essence of Ziliang, and he could often go out to see the outside world. If he left the essence of Ziliang, he would only stay in Pipazu, forever can't come out. However, it is strange that Chiu Kuavang stayed in Ziliang for a long time. He and Ziliang did not exclude each other, but approached each other. For example, Chiu Kuavang's desire for spirits is almost crazy, and Ziliang Jing starts to act under Chiu Kuavang's orders. Seeing the boundless reign of spirits, Chiu Kuavang manipulated Ziliang Jing's body, wrapped in hundreds of spirits with greed, and began to digest. Ye Kong didn't care about him. Although there were a lot of spirit stones, what he was looking for was a large one. How could these small spirit stones in front of him be polished into a sword? He urged Pipazu to continue to fly to the next warehouse. These spirit stones are divided into different categories. The first room is the lower grade spirit stone, the second room is the middle grade spirit stone, the third room is the upper grade spirit stone, and in the fourth room, Ye Kong's eyes light up and finally find a large piece. A regular spirit stone. These large spirit stones are not superb spirit stones. Although they are large in size, they are still medium or low quality stones. Generally, the spirit stone is a block, which is born in rocky soil as a regular hexahedron, and it does not need to be polished when it is dug. But like a child in life, there will always be freaks, and any two-headed person, hydatidiform mole, there are. And this big spirit stone belongs to this kind of freak. Yekong collected all kinds of large spiritual stones, and found a lot of abyss stones. He would not be polite, and all of them were collected. Chiu Kuaveng was almost crazy, and the lower grade spirit stone filled his stomach, but he saw the middle grade spirit stone again. Stood a lot and swallowed a lot, and the top spirit stone came over again. He was going to die, and the translucent earth-colored outer membrane was as thin as paper. But when he saw a large spirit stone fall again, his instinct drove him up again. Get off, Yekong kicked him away and scolded, you are a human with a mind, don't be controlled by a mindless world. Chiu Kuaveng's Jin Dan flashed, Dan's face suddenly returned to normal, and smiled, I don't know, I feel that I and Ziliang are fused together. I think what I think. Then you can digest it well, other spirit stones can be eaten, but the irregular large stones are not allowed to eat. Every time a certain amount of spirit stone is eaten by the sibling essence, the color changes, and there is something in Yekong that expects this guy to become a thing in the end. Of course, after that, the key question now is how to escape. Yekong had been forced by a demon and Yuanying slaves into a small warehouse and could not escape. They surrounded this small humble dust. Although this thing is so small that it is invisible to the naked eye, but under the illumination of several Yuanying monks' powerful consciousness and magic eyes, Yekong has escaped. What to do? A demon asked Captain Devil. You boom, the captain of the demon guards was furious at the moment. Both missions were not completed this time, the fat demon was killed, and the boy could not hide inside. Accepting the task of the devil, a few monks were busy trying their best, bombarded with all their strength, and shook the tiny dust around, but it had no effect at all. After blasting like this for a whole day, the small warehouse was blasted into a large warehouse, and a terrible pit was blasted on the ground, but the dust was still dust. A few demons still don't believe in evil, and they also take turns in their hands, but this pipa bead is an ancient spiritual treasure, and even if the immortals come, they will come back to death, let alone them. If you can't make an attack, you can only take it out. A group of demons began to study, and a monk Yuan suggested, it's better to say that the king is not malicious. In fact, he wants to invite him to sit in the palace and lie to him. Let's start. Then the demon went according to his plan, but Yekong was not stupid. How could he believe that instead of ignoring it, he said, in order to prove your sincerity, let me fly out of here before I can show up. Of course, the devil did not agree, and it was even more difficult for the boy to catch him as soon as he went out. So the devil thought again, pretending to leave, hiding in the dark, and waiting for Ye to come out. But I waited for a few days, but I didn't wait. The captain of the demon guards is finally on fire, isn't the kid out? I will dye you with magic fire. Several demons opened the magic eyes at the same time, and the light shining together quickly formed a flame. The fire was so powerful that the surrounding rocks were burned and cracked, but the dust was still dust, and the leaf empty in the pipa beads was still jumping around. After confrontation like this for more than a month, the demon was finally desperate, Yekong was annoyed, and the power to scold the demon every day was gone, but he just polished his spirit sword. Looking at Yekong Majian, Chiu Kuaveng still holding his stomach, laughed, this sword can't exert so much power in your hands. I think you might as well calm down and practice in peace. One day, you will break through out. Cultivation, Yekong knows his bitterness. He lacks the immortality to support the spiritual power cyclone. Now he has shifted badly. If he cultivates and absorbs spiritual power, he will die faster. The Mad Cultivator. Author, Xianxia. Chapter 640. Prayer for Fire Magic. Yekong suddenly asked again, why didn't you cultivate? What exercises did you practice before? Chiu Kuaveng shook his head and said, I learned the exercises from my father. His previous title in Yunyeo was to worship the true Fire Lord, and he was a gatekeeper named Fire Demon Lord, but this magic work is very strange and must be absorbed. All kinds of bizarre heaven and earth flames, although this magic skill is improving very quickly, but the key fires are difficult to find. I rose to the Jindan period because my father helped me to collect the mine and sky fire for me to devour. Yekong laughed. Don't say it, I have a magical different fire. He took out the fire and water gourd and let out the cold fire of Kangbei. Chiu Kuaveng immediately smiled, but then he smiled bitterly. Master, do you think I can cultivate now? Chiu Kuaveng is just a golden dandelion now, how can he cultivate? All he needs now is to stabilize the primordial and wait for a proper body to rebirth. Then wait for you to talk about it later. Yekong suddenly thought again, Chiu Kuaveng could not practice, he could practice, wasn't he always looking for fire control? Chiu Kuaveng, can you teach me one or two of the methods of worshipping the fire demon sect? Without telling you, I have been looking for a way to control the flames, which is very important to me. Master, Feng is honored to do things for you. Chiu Kuaveng took up Ziliang Jing and ate a lot of spirits. I'm sorry, but now I have a way to repay and I immediately agree. You are generous, recorded in this jade card. Yekong took out a blank jade card. Chiu Kuaveng and Ziliang are getting more and more harmonious at this moment. He can control the shape of Zilong's outstretched hand, took Yu Chen, and laughed, Master, I'm paying attention to you now and never give up. Fortunately, it's not about making promises to ourselves and serving the Lord with flesh. Chiu Kuaveng laughed, I used to be the demon lord before. If you also need it, wait for me to have a physical body in the future, just let it play. Yekong was about to vomit, cursing, not yet, hurry up, I'm not interested in men, be careful, I will find you a demon lord with 3 holes below. Chiu Kuaveng didn't dare to speak in fright. The woman of the demons was not only disgusting, but also had an unpleasant odor. He wanted to vomit when he thought of it. After a while, Chiu Kuaveng had copied his worship of the fire magic from memory. Yekong certainly isn't trying to practice this practice, it's a basic practice. If you practice, you have to abolish the 5 elements ascension classic first. But it can be used for reference. This worship of fire magic is indeed a whimsical work. Its practice method is to introduce various flames into the monk's meridians, quench the body meridians with fire, and finally leave the tinder in Ki, which is called directly from Ki every time it is used. The monks who practiced this exercise exerted their power mainly because the more exotic tinder power they absorbed, the more powerful they became after absorption. However, this is also very dangerous. It must be done step by step. If you want to absorb the powerful flames at once, it is likely that the meridians will be injured and the sea will be burned. Yekong does not need to practice according to chapters, nor does he leave a tinder in Ki. All he needs is to absorb the flame, and then send it out of the palm through the meridians. Because he was wounded with blood sacral wounds before, his meridians are stronger than the average person, but he has not been burned by fire, so he didn't dare to care about it. First, he used a relatively low-level fire experiment in a water-fired gourd. Just great. It's simple to say, but it's really painful to practice. Monks' meridians are generally used in the cycle of spiritual power. The kind of internal burn hurt to my heart, as if the whole body was burning. Every time Yekong practiced this method, he would quickly take an elixir to heal the wound, and then he would absorb the spiritual power in the spirit stone to rest the damaged meridians. He practiced cyclically like this, suddenly forgetting time, day after day. He practiced with peace of mind, and he had never been idle outside. The devil guards had no choice but to let Yuanying's slaves set up a strong sleepy array outside the dust. Then, they went back to confess to the Demon King's trusted Lengqi. Lengqi didn't expect that this little human monk was so fatal, he was just like a small Qiang who couldn't die. The devil is healing in retreat, and those elders are not his transferable, so Lengqi decided to go and see for himself. What is this smashing and burning thing? A few days later, Lord Lengqi personally arrived. Don't look at Lengqi as the most wretched and shortest demon. Facts prove that he is short and generally has a good brain. The magic fire from several winged monsters didn't react at all. Can this thing be ordinary? Lengqi retreated everyone, and then opened his manifestation eye to the dust. Once the manifestation eye opened, the demon repair returned to the demon form, and the human returned to human form. Any disguise changes, all disappeared, at a glance nothing. When he saw the grey-white stone bead, Lengqi was stunned. He lived hundreds of thousands of years, and at a glance he saw that it was the Pipa bead of the Shadow clan. When they first killed Lu Junro in the human realm, they also searched for Pipa beads, but they heard that they were lost tens of thousands of years ago, and they stopped. Now when I saw Pipa Zoo again, Lengqi suddenly felt overjoyed. They use the magic weapon of the magic tribe because the magic weapon of the magic weapon is controlled by the spirit. They can only control the aura. What magic weapon of magic weapon is needed? But Pipa beads are different. This is the innate spirit treasure. Demon people will be tempted. What's more, the legend says that if you get the Pipa beads, you can get all the inheritance, all the wealth, and the support of all the shadow people. Thinking that it was so difficult for the king to get a shadow woman, and Lengqi couldn't help getting very excited. At that time, it will have the status of standing shoulder to shoulder with the king. Maybe it can also rise, become a demon fairy, and even become an ancient demon god. Since Lengqi made up his mind to get the Pipa beads, he couldn't let others know. Otherwise, if those elders came out to force them, he wouldn't dare not give them. So he pretended not to care, and transferred all the demon guards, leaving only 4 human elementary infant slaves. These Yuanying slaves are okay, that is, they know that killing them after they are done. Lengqi then went back to the magic city, but a few days later, the news came out, and he also closed the retreat. So the days passed, and the blink of an eye was a year. In Pipazu, a meditating teenager suddenly opened his eyes. He then raised his hand and nothing happened. He closed his eyes for a while and raised his hand again this time. I saw a cold white flame. It's done. Yakong was overjoyed. You are listening to Novels at Bless Up channel. Wish you happiness and luck. How do you feel about this novel? Please like and leave a comment. The Mad Cultivator. Author, Xianxia. Chapter 641. June 4. Chiu Qiuabang's wish. This year, he is also observing the situation outside. He finds that there are fewer and fewer demons and slacker defenses, but he is still waiting. There are 4 Yuanying monks outside. It's too difficult to escape. He now has the ability to release different fires. This kind of fire caused by the cold in the north of Kangbei is no less than that of Monk Jidan. He got up and walked in a circle, and was surprised to find that this year, Chiu Qiuabang's sibling Essence had eaten half of his spirit stone. The spirit stones he searched from the 4 warehouses add up to nearly 30 million. This number is not small anymore. Yakong even wanted to go back and show his friends. This time he made a fortune. But the size of Jinshan can't withstand the speed of the fine grains of the soil, and 30 million spirit stones have been eaten by 1/3. 10 million. Yakong couldn't help but curse, how can you eat a spirit stone so much? Forget it, where can you go back, buddy? I can't afford it. Even if you have only a fine fairy beast, you don't have to burn it like that. Chiu Qiuabang in the mountain quickly said, Master, don't you? According to my feelings, if you eat a few million more, it will break through. Oh, Yakong looked at Ziliang Jing, who had been shining white, and his heart had gone 10 million. Then he lost a few million more. I'd like to see what you finally evolved into. He asked again, what about you? Are you still out? Chiu Qiuabang insisted, I decided to merge with him during its evolution. After all, it didn't open up. After waiting for it to open up, I didn't know how many years. So I decided to merge with it and use it as my body. My body is 100 times stronger than the general body. I am very comfortable inside, please ask the owner for permission. Yekong was startled, no, don't you take it away, it's just a monster. Chiu Qiuabeng shook his head, it's not a monster, it's my body, it's full of spiritual power, it's very powerful, and I can make it into a human form, it's me, I'm it. Chiu Qiuabeng said, the piece of land became a human shape, but it was just a transparent human shape. He said, Master, I believe that one day, I will become exactly like a human. Yekong shook his head, but that's just a human form, not a real human. Yekong thought of Chiu Qiuabeng's dream, and advised, if you haven't guessed wrong, you always want your child to live in a free cloud harika, but you become a monster and a child. Chiu Qiuabeng looked dark, but suddenly looked up again, Master, the year I left the Lord, although I was stuffed in pipa beads every day, I still feel how beautiful freedom is. I want my children to go to Yunyeo to breathe free the air, let me have someone in the Chiu family, not all live in the shadow of the devil. But I thought of my father again. He is not free now, and now under the abominable witch, he beats his smile every day and serves the 3 holes of the witch. I can't let my father suffer this kind of life again. I want to get strength, I want to rescue him. Ask the master to promise. What other reasons does Yekong not agree to? There is no reason why he can be prevented from rescuing his father. Human beings are always human beings. They are full of emotions, and are by no means what the devil thinks are pigs, dogs, and sheep. Well, I promise you, the spiritual stone here, eat as much as you can as much as you need, Yekong nodded, leaving himself to prepare for the magic weapon. Thank Master, Chiu Qiuabeng's eyes were wet. Yekong not only ignored his previous behavior, but strongly supported his cultivation. Only humans with the same bloodline can do this. With the different fire, you can make the first Fijian Shenbiwo gold sword in the 5 elements sword formation, but even this is not so good. First of all, Wujin is very difficult to melt. Generally speaking, Monk Yuanying uses infant fire to make it. It also needs to add 1 UN of heavy water to it. With 1 UN of heavy water, Wujin can be decomposed and melted. But Yekong doesn't have this thing, but he has one advantage, that is, his Wujin is not lumpy. The black gold he used was the black gold that was digested by gold-winged ants in the 5 elements array. These black golds have become fine and fine powder, so Yekong can be refined without a UN of heavy water. Before refining Wujin, the first thing to do is the sword blank, which is the basic of the sword. Yekong took out the fine iron body presented by the mine owner Diaozianben in the mining village. This black stone with strong spiritual power is a good material for making the best flying sword. In total, he has 3 iron fists with big fists, but these are enough for him to practice all 5 flying swords. He cut a large enough piece and put it still heavy on the palm of his hand. He felt a few 100 pounds less than the large piece in his fist. Then Yekong let out a cold fire and began to refine. The first is the process of removing impurities. Any material has impurities. The more clean it is, the stronger the weapon will be. Yekong has a white tongue of fire in his palm. The fire is stable and there is no jumping at all. For the control of these spiritual forces, Yekong's realm is very high. There is a black liquid on the tongue of fire. This is a refined iron monster that has been refined into water. The refining of the sword blank is here. Yekong perfused in full strength, slowly weakening the power of the cold fire, the flames became smaller and smaller, allowing the liquid fine iron spirit to begin to cool and begin to solidify. All right, now. Yekong felt that time was up, he suddenly stopped the flames in his palms, and kept hitting the tactics with his hands. Those tactics hit each other, like the hammer of a blacksmith master. After the tactics were played, a whole body turned black, and the 3-inch-long sword blank appeared in Yekong's hands. This is only a billet, so there is no glory at all, and it is not good looking. It can be placed on the palm of the hand, but you can clearly feel the vigorous spirit contained in it. Yekong can't help but smile. Sure enough, one piece of material is sold, the power of the sword blank is so powerful. If it is refined, the power can be imagined. But this is the first step, and what is behind is the key. Thousands of years of sinking wood, green beast inner dan, Wujin, these are extremely rare things, especially the green beast inner dan. This one, if it fails, it is estimated that you will never find this thing again. Refining the most difficult black gold first, although it is already in a powder state, it is still difficult to melt. Only the black pieces are burnt red and shiny, but there is no sign of melting. After burning for a while, I saw tiny bubbles on the surface of the black gold fine edges. Is Yekong's brainstorming too much? If it's slowly and slowly, isn't it better? The Mad Cultivator. Author, Xianxia. Chapter 642. June 4 Tu Shen Biwo Golden Sword. Refining is not a matter of urgency. Yekong pressed his impatient mood and started to put into yukin a little bit, dissolving them a little bit. Every time he dared to add a handful, that is, his thumb and fingers were pinched. A handful. When Yekong was refining the magic weapon, Chiu Kuavang kept watching. He felt that the master was really magical, and he naturally did not understand so many materials, but he knew that it was impossible to imagine how to rebuild the magic weapon when the foundation was built. I'm afraid I won't believe it when talking to others. But he did. In comparison, Chiu Kuavang's practice is much simpler. He eats enough spiritual stones every day, and then lays there waiting to be digested. He felt that his Jindan and Zijingjing had begun to merge. He did not resist. He felt the power of Zijingjing. He believed that after this thing evolved, the power would be very powerful. 3 months later, Yekong refined the black gold powder every day. After 3 months of refining, the whole black gold powder was made into a liquid. Yekong is in the anxiety refiner. The 4 monks outside are already annoyed. They have reached the level of the Yuanying period. They have not dared to practice without the permission of the host. I can't sit still. Hey, Wu Yulong Zhenjun, you said that this boy wouldn't hide there to practice for hundreds of years, a white-haired old man said restlessly. The monk Yuanying named Wu Yulong laughed. What? Bai Song Zhenjun, you can't wait. Bai Song Zhenjun is the old man. He sighed and said, the 4 of us are the oldest. I have been here for almost 20,000 years. For 20,000 years, I don't know how I can live so long. Wu Yulong looked intently and asked, Bai Song Zhen, could you? The old Bai Song did not hide it, nodded, yes, I feel Xiao Yuan is going to run out. After all, we are human beings, not immortal holy demons. Another Yuanying Zhenjun named Xiao Xian interjected, Lao Bai, don't worry about it. I heard my master said last time that they can have a secret method, called enchanting the body, and part of the master's holy demon. The transplantation of ethnic blood into the human body can also greatly increase Xiao Yuan. The old man Bai Song shook his head and sighed, how precious is the blood of the holy demons, how can I enjoy it, and this will hurt the master, who will never hurt himself. Wu Yulong laughed, don't worry too much. You didn't see how nervous the kid named Lengqi was. If I can successfully catch this kid, maybe Lengqi will make us happy. The host introduced us into the body. The old man Bai Song sighed, I just worry that this kid won't be able to live or die. It's been more than a year, nothing has happened. The monk who had not spoken smiled and said, we are anxious, in fact, he is not in a hurry to figure it out. Yang has a plan. Immediately, the other 3 monks of Yuanying sent a message of God's consciousness, Yang Qiang Zhenjun, what is the strategy? Let's hear it. You and I will join forces to catch this kid alive. Although it is 4 people defending each other, but there are also intrigues between them. Everyone wants to get the biggest credit. If it is to be appreciated by the Lengchi adults, it is better to be the slave of the Lengchi adults than to be the slaves of other ordinary adults. Many. Yang Qiang grinned, you want to grab credit for me? No way, I just want to take you away, and then I get the credit alone. A little real person who builds a base 5 layers, isn't I enough? Yang Qiang immediately told his plans to the other 3 people. In his opinion, Yekong, who was hiding inside, was scared by their 4 babies, so the best way was to lead the snake out of the hole. The actual operation was to withdraw the trapped array, and then the other 3 left in turn, leaving only Yang Qiang, who had the lowest repair. Of course, the other 3 people are also able to get credit, that is, they are hidden outside, and as soon as Yekong comes out, Yang Qiang calls them. Yang Qiang said to the 3 of them, rest assured that you must call you first. The 3 Yuanying Zhenjun thought that it would work. If they can't pick up the credit for the first and pick the second, that's not bad. It's better than such endless waiting. These discussions of Yekong are inaudible, they are all speaking by voice and will not let Yekong hear. In fact, they said loudly that Yekong couldn't hear him. At this moment, his magic weapon for refining had reached a critical moment. How could he care about the outside world? Looking at the completely burned black gold, it looks like a black ink, but the surface is bright white, and if you look closely, you can see that black, there are countless gold lights, those gold lights are very small, but they are the most effective of black gold materials. Yekong saw that the time was up, and he threw it into the 10,000-year-old Shenmue. The 10,000-year-old Shenmue was soon caught in the fire, and quickly made Yekong a little unexpected. He quickly put down the beast Neodon. Other materials can be found after it is broken, but if the beast inside Dan is destroyed, it will be harder to find. Yekong's heart mentioned his throat. It's done, I saw all the beast Neodon and Wanyan Shenmue mixed with the melted black gold and melted together, and the black liquid also turned gray and white, and it was refining for a while. It is getting whiter and brighter, giving out a silvery sheen. Looking closely at the silvery white, there are countless golden bright spots like stars, which is very gorgeous and magical. Yekong didn't dare to drag, and quickly put the sword blank into the center of the liquid, listening only to the noise. The silver liquid covering the sword blank floated out numerous fine bubbles. Yekong knows that this is the sword blank that spit out the air. There are countless tiny pores in the sword blank, holes that are invisible to the naked eye, and the air in the gap between the holes is completely exhausted. It will be flooded in, covering the surface of the flying sword, and blending with the blank, and finally the flying sword is successful. Another day later, in the space of Pipazu, I suddenly heard a crisp jianming of, and at the same time a few silvery radiances illuminated this small world. After the silver light flashed, it disappeared instantly, as if it were a flash of lightning, after which it disappeared. The light is gone, but the sword is there. This sword is about 3 inches, lying on the palm of the hand, and the silver light on the surface is flowing back and forth on the blade from time to time, but in the silver light, it seems to have golden brilliance. Look carefully. But Jingguang was gone. Shenbi's golden sword. Success. Yekong was overjoyed, his heart moved, a big mouth, and a 3-inch sword swallowed into his stomach. He spoke again, and Shenbi's golden sword blurted out like a living creature, flying above his head.